Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we start the video, I want you to take note of the content that will be coming up this week for Barcelona on this channel as we analyze Barcelona versus Espanyol. All right, as always guys, please do subscribe to the channel. It's going to help us a lot to get this family to grow bigger. We upload weekly Barcelona content only, so if that's you, I know that you will fall in love with this channel and you will definitely love it because we upload the weekly content. So without any further ado, let's start and get right into the video. Maybe it's a good idea if we actually understand why Espanyol lined up as 4-1-4-1, because they wanted to have these three players centrally and have these two wider players to cover the areas where Barcelona would commit their fullbacks, actually, because they wanted to have their back line very narrow in order to deal with these runs in behind from Rafinha, Olmo and Robert Lewandowski, whereas the wider players would cover the areas and this player would defend alone up front. So this is why Espanyol defended in this way against Barcelona, and you're going to understand now how we actually picked apart this shape from Espanyol as well. We can see here that the back line of Espanyol was extremely narrow, with the center backs and the fullbacks so narrow. And look at how the player from the middle three can go forward and actually put pressure whenever Pedri would drop. And look at how the wider players are also covering Alejandro Balde. So this was basically the plan to stop Barcelona. Have these three players central to actually cope with the numerical advantage, and the wider players covering the wider players of Barcelona as well. The problem for Espanyol, however, in this case, they couldn't apply pressure on Barcelona centre backs with only one player, as he would be overloaded and there's a numerical advantage for Barcelona. So we saw that one of the midfielders would sometimes try to go up and actually put pressure on Barcelona centre backs, but that then actually can create a triangle for Barcelona and easily find the likes of Casado and Pedri. So when this happened, Espanyol started to have less pressure up top and they couldn't really put pressure on Barcelona centre back, and therefore they allowed Barcelona very easily through the first phases of the build-up play. And this is the first flaw in this system that Barcelona and HANSI could actually exploit. Look at how this midfielder is running back because you realize that he's going to leave a hole, and the striker finds himself in no man's land. There's absolutely no pressure on the ball, and I think this is going to be the biggest problem for the opposition. Look at how the strikers are alone up front. You cannot stay compact and pressure Barcelona at the same time. You're either going to have to give up the pressure and be compact, or you're going to have to give up your compactness to be able to pressure, but either way it benefits Barcelona. Now there's two words that I can describe how Barcelona picked Espanyol's system apart, which is directness and movement, right? Because look at how if Pedri is dropping into these areas where he's going to get on the ball, right? This defender or this midfielder cannot afford to press, because then that leaves space for the likes of Rafinha, the likes of Robert Lewandowski, and these are all the guys that we saw dropping, right? But he cannot decide to stay compact either, because Pedri has range. He can find the likes of Olmo, Lewandowski, Rafinha and put balls in behind. So what scenario is the opposition finding themselves in? We saw the likes of Lamine Yamal dropping and then does the fullback follow him? Does this midfielder follow him? And then actually that leaves space for forward. And I think, guys, if Barcelona is going to grow into this system, it's going to be extremely hard for the opposition to beat us. Honestly, I don't know how people are going to cope with this. And there's two players' movement that we're going to analyze in a second. The movement, I think, is the reason why Barcelona is functioning so well without a CDM, because the movement of Casado and Pedri is just instrumental. And look at how the Espanyol players, they have to defend this. They cannot leave those guys open. And look at how Dani Olmo is actually recognizing the space and he's running into that gap. But if that player follows Olmo, that leaves Lamine Yamal open. So this is just an impossible situation for the opposition to drop into. Look at Pedri even going up higher. So Rafinha in this case is dropping and this player has to come out. That leaves the half space open for Barcelona. Again, the movement of Pedri, he slips it in, and the 1-2 movements, the intricate passes for Barcelona is just sensational. So the movement is going to be a big factor in Barcelona's game plan. Even Robert Lewandowski is dropping deep, and how sensational has he been this season with the movement and the fouls that he's able to draw even deeper. But let's talk about the movement of Lamine Yamal. You know, under Xavi, Lamine was basically hugging that touchline, keeping it company. But we talked about this of how Flick actually wants him to come more centrally, which opens up this wing for the opposition, for Ford, excuse me. But we've also seen that Lamine Yamal is going deeper and deeper, sometimes even into the pivot position to get on the ball. And we talked about this, like I said, because first of all, he's press resistant. Second of all, he can find these long passes and also dribble around the opposition and get into these deeper areas, especially into the half space where he's going to draw two players. And with the addition of Ford, now you see now a third player getting into that mix. Now, if you add that with Robert Lewandowski keeping the centre backs at bay, you also see that opens up the movement for Olmo, and no wonder there was an assist for him as well. The fact that Flick wants him in the half space is not only because he wants him to be closer to the goal, but also due to the fact that the likes of Olmo, Rafinha, Pedri are all dragging these players out of their positions, which makes it easier. And the dropping deep, the creation that he has to pull deeper and deeper and get on the ball a lot more is also like a 10 role. I don't think Barcelona plays with wingers because of the movement and the dropping of these players into these areas, right? Lamine Yamal also being in the half space, he can also be wide, right? So it doesn't matter if a fullback has a great game and keeping Lamine quiet. He's going to move. Look at the opposition having to have two players so wide in order to defend Lamine, and also Hector Ford being there. And that opens up the space for Dani Olmo to run in behind. And look at how he came across the pitch in order also to get on the ball and also to help. So it doesn't matter what happens, you will not be able to keep this man quiet. This is why I'm saying that Barcelona is not playing with wingers anymore. You always see Lamine Yamal in these deeper areas. Rafinha is dropping. Lamine is dropping. These fullbacks cannot drop all the way with them, and if Lamine drops, they have to be narrow, and automatically that fullback on that side with Rafinha or with Lamine is going to keep the width, and that solves that problem. Whereas in the past you saw that he would stay there constantly. So if a fullback is having a good game against him, then he's going to be kept quiet. But nowadays you won't be able to keep Barcelona's wingers at bay, so they are practically midfielders. So Barcelona are playing literally with 5 midfielders at the moment, if you think about it, right? And we're going to do a video about the linking up and how Flick is able to find the balance with all of this, right? How is he able to keep up with the central progression but at the same time has the width, right? How's the linking up going between Casado and Olmo, and then you have Lamine Yamal and Rafinha also, and this links everybody quite well together, and we're going to talk about it in a separate video this week actually. It would be absolutely criminal of me to not talk about the performance of this man, specifically in the first half, and this the way he's securing his place. I think Dani Olmo has really shown in this game that he should be the undisputed starter for Barcelona in the number 10 position, right? I don't know what's going to happen with Gavi and Frenkie de Jong. At this point, I also think that Casado should start. And we're going to talk about when Casado and Olmo went off the pitch. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But just the ability of this man to be able to find the space that when Rafinha drops into an area, for an example, you see that he moves into that space. The same with Lamine Yamal, if he's creating that space. We talked about how Lewandowski, if he's running to be able to receive the ball in behind, he drags players with him. And then Dani almost just at the edge of the box to be able to pound on that situation, right? And I also do think that the dropping deep in these areas to operate over here, he's so complete. I think actually, and you guys might disagree, I think he's a much more complete player than Pedri. I'd also think if he would improve the way that Pedri is dictating the game, I think he has everything to be the best midfielder in the world. And you guys can disagree with me, but I feel like Olmo is going to be super sensational and important, right? The runs in behind, the dropping deep, finding these little pockets. Just watch him in a game. You will see he's always in space. There's no situation where this guy has somebody on him. He's always in space, dropping into the little pockets over here, running in behind. And like I said, the goal is just super sensational from Dani Olmo. And he is going to be the undisputed starter for Barcelona. And Flick in the press conference before the game actually said that this is the type of game for Olmo to move in between the lines. And I don't think we have a better player than him. Maybe Rafinha, I don't know. But yeah, Olmo should be an undisputed starter for us. Olmo in this first half were very silky, as I can show you this frame again. Look at how he acknowledges the space and realizes that he can run into that space in order to get on the ball or to be an option for Barcelona. Look at him again. He's in space. He's already looked around to see he can give a first time ball to Robert Lewandowski, and the ability of him just to move in that tight spaces, right? He turns on the screw. Look at him again. He's in space. He's always in space, guys. This is what I'm telling you, that I don't think Firmino is going to be able to compete with him if he's fit, and in the big games he's going to start, right? Again, he's in space. So Dani Olmo was just sensational in this game, and in terms of the space and the movement, for him to be able to do that. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem for Robert Lewandowski, because he's going to score more goals this way, because Robert Lewandowski is going to drag them away only, guys. But as always, guys, please do subscribe to the channel. Do let me know what do you think about the game and what the tactics were. Maybe stuff that I didn't see, but I just wanted to highlight the main tactics, As always, do subscribe to the channel. Like I said, this will help us a lot to get this family to grow. And this was just the first half. We're going to talk about the second half. It's going to drop shortly.